Well, in 1977, the band Kansas put out a song that soon hit the top 10. It expressed the thought that all we are is dust in the wind, a sentiment that many unfortunately share as they grasp for some kind of meaning in life. Well, my guest now came through that kind of search and found some answers tucked away in a rather obscure part of the Bible's Old Testament. As a journalist, he decided to document his findings in what has become an award-winning book, Chasing the Wind. And here to share his journey with us is Robert White. Welcome, Robert.
Welcome.
Good day. Great to have you with us.
Oh, wonderful to be here.
Now, Robert, you're a journalist from way back. You started in Alberta.
Yep.
Tell us about kind of the beginning of your journalist career.
That was back in the mid-'80s. Actually, I started writing for a Christian newspaper, doing some freelance stuff, covering the Christian music ministry at the time. Parlayed that into work at a weekly newspapers and been doing it ever since. And then about 10 years ago, Christian Week Ontario started up, and I've been editing it ever since, and it's just been a great time.
All right. Well, Robert, take us back a little farther now. You were born with a congenital heart condition. Tell us about that and how that kind of affected your early years.
Well, it's something called tetralogy of Fallot, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but one of the key things was a hole in the heart and some issues with the valves, which came into play a little bit later. Had an open heart surgery when I was 8. In fact, I was born in Edmonton. We moved to Ontario to be near sick kids. And through the years, I've had a number of things done. 2000, I was sitting in my office talking to somebody on the phone, and the next thing I know, I'm slumped down and, wake up, somebody come back to consciousness, and the phone's still talking. I hang up whoever was talking on the phone and go, this isn't right. I ended up needing a pacemaker. Which they say is typical with tetralogy patients, and found out at that point in time that one of the repairs they made had been wearing out, and so I had to go in about a year or so later for a valve replacement. And so over the years, it's been a constant awareness in times of my mortality, and a constant awareness of the fact that, God, as much as I really dislike having to go through this, I know that you're going to help me through it. I know that you're going to be there while I'm going through all these things.
And today you have your annual checkups and things are going all right?
Annual checkups, things are going all right. Doctor says I could lose a little bit of weight, but who can't?
Me, I could certainly do that as well. Lots of advice. Now, I'm glad you're around, though, because
yes.
You have put together a great resource here for people who are just looking for some answers, for some meaning in life. Tell us how you kind of got into the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible.
It started about 19 years ago. Two things happened that were critical in my life. One was my son was born, and then about a month later, my dad lost his battle with cancer. And so I was, going through those events. There were things that were happening at work, some dissatisfaction there, some things that were happening relating to the congregation we were attending. And I just had this sense of restlessness and wondering what there was in meaning. Hadn't really thought of Ecclesiastes, knew it was a wisdom book, had studied Proverbs before, and I thought, wow, let's try it, and started studying through Ecclesiastes, checking out reference books and reading through a whole lot of things. And then just through my ministry in teaching Sunday school classes and as an elder in various churches where I had the opportunity to share from the pulpit when pastors were away on holidays, started using the stuff from Ecclesiastes in that. Newspaper columns I was writing at the time, all would find this stuff in, and I actually got to the point where I'm looking at it and going, you know what, I've got enough in here to write a book. And so I started putting it together as a book and started trying to sell it, one of the hardest parts of doing it. And last year, submitted it to the Word Alive press competition, and in October I found out that I'd won.
You won for the non-fiction category, and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So let's just kind of get into the book a little bit then. You divide it into 3 sections, and the first one just is about the meaninglessness that comes across in Ecclesiastes. What's the key in there?
The key, the 3 sections are the 3 main themes of Ecclesiastes. Meaningless being the first one. I mean, the book opens up with meaningless, meaningless, everything is meaningless. Those of us who grew up with the King James Version, it's vanity of vanities, all is vanity. And it starts looking at the author, some believe it was Solomon. I, throughout the book, refer to them as the teacher because that's a title that they refer to themselves as. Look at the different things that go on in life. Look at things like wisdom and wishes and work and how things can be so meaningless in each of those. We go through our day-to-day life and hope that there's going to be some meaning at the end of the at the end of the day.
And it's something that I know many people watching right now, they might be at that point of just saying, what's the point of it all? It is like chasing the wind, as the title says, and it just seems to be going around in circles, spinning my wheels. So what can someone take out of that first part of it? Is it just leave you in total despair? Is it it just kind of seems like a pessimistic, opener to the book of Ecclesiastes.
Well, it is, and really it doesn't, it's not until about the last chapter that the teacher actually gives us some hope. And he goes through the other two parts, Chasing the Wind and Under the Sun, and it does seem like you keep reading this and you keep getting more and more depressed, and you're going, yeah, well, that's how I'm feeling, that's what's going on in my life. When am I going to find hope? And it's really at the end that we get that hope. The teacher says, that fear God and keep His commandments. This is the whole duty of man, and that's what brings us hope. Is loving God, keeping His commandments, and living a life that's God glorifying, and recognizing that even though things may be meaningless, even though things may seem like dust in the wind, there is hope. There is a joy for us at the end.